following is a non-verdict-based research versus show. The stats of the individual characters are not taken into consideration when determining aspects of the fight. However, the characters themselves are going to be represented in their fullest capacity outside of stats. This is versus universe.
Identity. It can be hard enough to carve your own way in the world, and even harder when you have to live in someone else's shadow. Especially when they burn so bright. But, in spite of all of that, some choose the path of the self above all else. Roxas, the key of destiny from Kingdom Hearts. And Dark Pit, the dark-winged doppelganger from Kid Icarus. Let's begin! Life. Purpose. Meaning. Imagine, if you will, that you lacked any of those things above. Your whole existence would seem rather dull, wouldn't it? Almost like a non-existence. The nothingness taking a hold of your personality, it would take a while to grow, both physically and emotionally. Such is the story of Roxas, the key of destiny. But he did not start out this way. He was born... Well, we'll circle back to how he came into being, but he was born without any thoughts or emotions of his own. That is, until a mysterious figure approached him, the hooded form of Xemnas, and indoctrinated him into this group. It's a cult, Organization 13. Here, the group's goal was simple: collect hearts to create their own Kingdom Hearts, and become whole. See, every member of this group of 13 had one thing in common: their state of being. Or rather, their lack thereof. See, these are nobodies with a capital N, beings born into the world's shallow husks, without hearts of their own, unlike every other living being. Roxas got to work in the organization with his weapon, the Keyblade. This specific blade had a specific function in the org's schemes. That being, the Keyblade was the only way to release hearts from Heartless. Don't ask about the name, you're just going to get more confused. In the organization, there were not many friendly faces. Mostly people out for themselves, just wanting their own heart. However, the flurry of dancing flames Axel took to Roxas, pitying his lack of self and trying to educate the kid on what it means to be human. By eating ice cream? It's not perfect, but hey, what do you know? It worked. But the organization was looking for multiple Keyblade wielders on Indeed.com, Xemnas' favorite website, and so they found Xion, another one of the Keyblade's chosen. But don't count Roxas out. He has quite the set of skills on him already. Keyblades are unique among most weapons, in the sense that they function both as blades and as wands. The active magic is available to Roxas even without a Keyblade, but the doodad definitely enhances the power of his magic to a really potent degree. And that's not all. The Keyblade also has the magical ability to unlock any door it comes across. I mean, it's a giant magic key. What did you expect? But, like all the other organization members, Roxas was also assigned an element that he naturally conjures due to his nobody-ness. But you know, it's a bit of a gamble. Some folks get shit like the control over space or time, and others get fucking ice? Sorry, Vexen, you're never appearing on Versus Universe again. Roxas over here, the mad lad, he gets control over light. That's right, he's flipping the switches off and on, and it's gonna rack up the electric bill. Seriously, light by itself is one of the most powerful forms of magic in Kingdom Hearts, as well as its counterpart, darkness. With the power of light, Roxas can summon pillars to surround him and protect him from harm, as well as throwing them around like projectiles at surrounding enemies. He can also shoot literal homing projectiles of light as well. Using these skills, he served the organization without question at first, building a relationship with that Axel guy and that Xion girl. Over 358 days, there was drama, turmoil, and strife, but at least they would remain friends. Right? Well, Xion decided that she should go fight Roxas one day, and then they fought, and Roxas was confused, as I'm sure you, the viewer, are, and then he won. She died in his arms. For some fucking reason, he couldn't remember her after she died, and then holding on to the last remaining memories of her, as they started slipping through his mind, he goes to try and take out, kill, the rest of the organization left over, and he pulls out another fucking Keyblade? What the fuck? That's something he can do? Well, yes. Yes, that is something he can do. With the ability Sync Blade, Roxas can summon both the Oathkeeper and Oblivion in his hands for dual-wielding action. And then he met this guy, they fought, he transformed into the final boss of the first Kingdom Hearts game, and that's the end of Roxas' story. But hang on a minute. Don't I normally cover backstories first on this show? Why haven't we done that yet? Well, because Kingdom Hearts is known for its non-conventional storytelling, I bought a corkboard to help us. So Roxas here was born when Sora here kind of unalived himself to free Kyrie's from inside his body. This created two beings, Roxas and Naminé. By the way, most nobodies look like the person they split off from, but not these two. No. That's because Sora actually had 3 hearts when he did the whole stabby stab. He had his own, he had Kyrie's, and he had Ventus's. This guy Ventus. Ventus actually met Axel like 10 years before the events of KH1, and they bonded over him being shit at fighting. Xemnas finds Roxas in the woods and gives him his name and his purpose, to collect hearts for his Kingdom Hearts. Eventually, a guy in the organization created replicas, which were like... Imagine if like a corpse had the ability to like gain a soul. That guy put memories of Sora's into a replica, and it created this girl, Xion. Xion, Roxas, and Axel became quick friends. We were like, eating ice cream together. It was great. Till Xemnas here decided that he wanted only one Keyblade wielder to control. So he kept trying to kill one of them until Xion decided that she wanted to stop existing to return back to Sora, who was in an unrelated coma thanks to her messing with his memories, which is a thing that she can do. And Riku here convinced her that it was the best option that she had in her life. I think Riku just wanted to see his boyfriend. So she found Roxas, Roxas won, and the memory of her faded away with her life. Holding on to that memory, Roxas here decided that he was done with this whole organization business and decided to try and take them all out. And it's not like he couldn't have done that, it's just that he was really needed to recomplete Sora. And Riku really liked Sora. Riku and him fought, and eventually Riku won, and then Riku him in a simulated version of Twilight Town for him to live out the remaining days of his existence. And then Roxas did the thing. He did rejoin Sora, allowing the boy to wake up from his year-long coma. And that was the story for the longest time. Roxas rejoined Sora and stopped existing. That was that. But Sora was on a mission, determined to make Roxas a person again. And through the help of friends and scientific acquaintances, it came true. Roxas returned, as well as Xion, but that is an entirely different story, and reunited with both her and Axel. And that's where his story truly comes to a close. Finally, the boy who was told that his existence was nothing but a ruse, a means to an end, a puppet controlled by forces more knowledgeable than him, who only wanted to share a frozen treat with his friends, was able to live his life alongside all the other people Sora had gone out of his way to save. But if you threaten the second chance given to him, he won't hesitate to show you why they call him the Key of Destiny.
You make a good other.
In the land of myths and monsters, Greece, I think, there exist many a god and goddess. One such deity is Palutena, the goddess of light. But some gods don't really like each other, and created armies to protect themselves should relations turn hostile. Which, not to get all Greek mythology on you, but yeah, of course they are. Gods are just petty children of the power of, well, gods. Palutena herself created an army of angels, cause light, I guess, and her captain of the guard was a young angel named Pit. Pit, curiously, unlike other angels, lacks the ability to fly by himself. Why? Cause Palutena thought it would be funny. She's quirky like that. but it bit her in the ass when an enemy of hers, Medusa, captured her and it was up to Pit to save her. And he did. And then other stuff happened that isn't important, and Palutena and her servant Pit were not needed for 25 years. Then, in that exact same amount of time later, Medusa came back, and Pit was sent again to defend that land against her forces. Among those forces was Pandora, somebody who previously worked with Medusa 25 years prior, and she was tasked with guarding this thing, the Mirror of Truth. It can duplicate any object it sees, and that was especially good for creating massive underworld armies. However, Pit, with the guidance of Palutena, put an end to that, but not before he himself was caught in the mirror's reflection. This created the being known as Dark Pit. Despite being born literally seconds ago, Dark Pit immediately presented himself as a threat to both Pandora and Palutena, acting as a bit of a free agent in a world of factions and allegiances. Of course, this led him to help Pit take down Pandora, and then immediately antagonize his courteous counterpart and try to fucking kill him. This is because the thing that created him, the weird glass thing I forgot the name of, got all smashed up in the process of creating Dark Pit, and in turn his allegiances didn't lie to the underworld like all the other beings created with that... pain? I think the word starts with a P. But don't like the fact that he split off from Pit, who can be called an affectionate dumbass, fool you. Dark Pit is ready and willing to fight if he has to, and the gods kinda really like war, so he needs to fight a lot of the time. And he's got just the tools to help him out. So both Pit and Dark Pit have an entire armory's worth of weapons to work with, but Batu, that's his nickname, I kind of hate it, certainly has his favorites. Namely his staff, which, like all other weapons in Icarus, boasts both melee and ranged options. Although the direction to which each weapon can skew in either direction definitely can vary. His staff is pretty clearly meant for long-range attacks, but that doesn't mean he can't smack people with it. Other weapons he's known for are the electroshock arms, which can paralyze whoever touches them, and the silver bow, which is his counterpart to Pit's Palutena bow. Also, like the good Ictusios over there, Dark Pit lacks the ability to fly on his own. So we took the remainder of Pandora's power after both he and Pit defeated her, and he just took it for himself. And now he can fly by himself. What a girl boss. But despite being the final boss of the first game and Uprising being a quasi-reboot, Medusa is decidedly taken care of, and then this asshole shows up and reveals that he was the real villain the whole time. This is Hades, Lord of the Underworld. It's pretty fucking obvious in hindsight that he was behind these things. However, our good old anti-hero doesn't really care. Why would he? It doesn't really matter to him what happens. But his and Pit's souls are pretty intertwined, and when Pit got trapped in a ring, is that a metaphor for marriage? Dark Pit fell into a coma for that duration that Pit spent non-divorced. And that amount of time was 3 fucking years. So Dark Pit got his shit together and decided to start helping Pit out in the fight against the underworld. And in their battle together against the Chaos Skin, Dark Pit nearly died and made Pit sacrifice his wings to save his dark counterpart. It's here where a real switch went off in our favorite Black Angel's head. Maybe, if this Servant of Light was willing to save him, he himself wasn't all that bad. Or maybe Pit was just really dumb. Either way, Dark Pit went out of his way to help Pit out, saving him by taking his burnt wings to the rewind spring. But here, Pandora revealed herself as hiding in Dark Pit's wings the entire time. But Batu killed her pretty easily. He dipped his doppelganger into the spring, and then tried to bounce. But his power of flight was gone. Instead, Viridi, the goddess of nature and reluctant ally to Palutena at the time, gave him her power of flight and saved him from a comedic death. And after helping Pit once more with defeating Hades, the jolly old fellow was put down by Pit once and for all. And so, the two flightless angels were granted flight by Palutena and flew off into the sunset together. But that's not quite where the story ends. Because Sakurai lives to sequel bait, I guess, Dark Pit was revealed in Smash Bros. To now be a commanding officer in Viridi's forces of nature. Why? I don't fucking know. We'll never get Uprising 2, and I'll be bitter about it until the day I'm 6 feet underground, which might be tomorrow. It depends if the clone cleansing protocol goes through. I hope I don't die. Anyway, now is the time to really get into Dark Pit's origin. Like we did with Roxas. Take it away, real world Skye. Yeah. I don't really know what I expect, but if you stand in his or his brother's way, the dark-winged doppelganger won't hesitate to show you the immense power at his disposal.
Then it's time.
Time for what?
Our pre-boss battle rallying cry!
Oh, right. Okay.
Folk of the land, hear our words and see our actions! I am Pit, servant of the goddess of light! And I am Darkpit, servant to no other but myself! Together we will rain death upon you! So anyone who wants to die, step right up!
And anyone who doesn't want to die?
Too bad! Oh yeah!
We open to a shot of the iconic clock tower in Twilight Town, the city cast in eternal sunset. Roxas is sitting precariously at the top of the tower, chowing down on some sea salt ice cream. The boy then looks at the sun, taking in the red glimmer. Suddenly, another light catches his eye. A beam of green light comes crashing down, with its ending point being the entrance to Station Heights. As the light fades, a figure makes himself known. Darkpit emerges from the verdant haze.
Above me? Oh, nobody's above me. Oh, the nobody's above me.
Roxas then glides down to the ending point of the green beam he saw, and is taken aback by the dark angel meeting him there.
Are you nobody?
What? My name's Roxas.
Uh-huh. Okay. In the name of the goddess Verity, I declare you an abomination to nature, and will end your existence.
I thought this would have ended already. Oh well.
Roxas then brandishes the kingdom key, steadying himself for battle.
I won't let anyone get in my way again!
Darkpit then takes out his iconic staff.
Shame. We could have done this the easy way.
Darkpit then begins shooting wildly at Roxas, beam after beam of condensed energy from his staff taking aim at the nobody. Roxas uses his hand not holding the Keyblade to summon a reflective magical surface, bouncing all the potshots thrown his way back at Darkpit. Some hit, but most miss, leaving both at a stalemate in terms of positioning. Darkpit then rushes in, attempting to close in distance, but Roxas doesn't take kindly to that. He effortlessly blocks the blow from Darkpit's staff and pushes the angel back.
Well, aren't you an interesting character?
I'm not really in the mood to talk!
Roxas then fires a bunch of fire auger bursts at Darkpit, the homing magic easily aiming for the servant of Verity. Using the power of flight for the first time, he takes to the skies, weaving in and out of the fire blast and aiming for Roxas. But at the last second, when his body would collide with the Key of Destiny, he shoots right over Roxas's body, letting the fire auger burst directly assault the person who created them. Roxas doesn't take this lightly and swings at his back before Darkpit simply levitates a bit further up to dodge the attack. Roxas then begins to glide to counteract his foe's newfound advantage, and Darkpit is taken aback.
So he can fly too. Interesting.
Just cause I don't have wings doesn't mean I can't keep up!
Roxas then rushes in to close the distance between the two of them, and in that very moment a blessing comes down for Darkpit to use, the electroshock arms.
What?
Thanks. This should make things more interesting.
Darkpit then socks Roxas in the gut, launching him far away from the clock tower, now floating over Market Street. As he regains his composure and begins to plan a counterattack, he finds his movement slowed down, as he has been paralyzed by the attack. But before he can cure himself...
Hey.
And another massive hit lands on Roxas, sending the boy careening back down where he came. A massive crater is made in the station plaza as he lands there, making any passers-by wary and leaving immediately. Roxas can see the damage his angel is doing to the city, and knows that he must be stopped, even if he was already aiming to take Roxas down. As Roxas is finally allowed to cast Curaga on himself, he looks up at the angel, smugly cocking a smile as he descends back to the plaza, now sporting a blue bow.
And Verity said this would be hard. Please. I like it when the missions are easy. Now stand still, and this will only hurt a little.
Darkpit slings his bow back, the taut string ready to fire at Roxas's heart any moment.
Was that supposed to be funny? Cause I'm not laughing!
Roxas, in a move of desperation, does all that he can think to do. He raises his Keyblade once more and charges straight at the angel. But this time, because he was distracted with his bow, Roxas manages to land meaningful hits against Darkpit. With an overhead swing, he knocks the blunt end of the tip of the Keyblade into Darkpit's head, knocking him down to the ground. Darkpit speeds back to where he was, only to get knocked around again, this time by a horizontal slash at his chest. Roxas then starts comboing and stringing his moves with the Keyblade together, culminating in two massive pillars moving outwards and hitting Darkpit directly. Another boon flows down in Dark Pit's hands, and he now employs the weapons known as the Guardian Orbitars.
Ugh. Those are more up goody two-shoes alley than mine anyway.
Roxas attempts to combo him more, but to no avail. The Guardian Orbitars provide a perfect defense against just the kind of thing Roxas can dish out. But Roxas is relentless in his attack. After all, his existence is on the line.
My heart belongs to me. I won't let you or anyone else take it!
I'm not here for your heart. I'm here for you. Can't you put two and two together?
Roxas and Dark Pit both stop dead in their tracks.
What?
Man, you need to break out the Brain Age then, pal.
What are you talking about?
Nintendo DS. You should be familiar with it. 358 days over 2? I think I need Brain Age after that.
While Roxas contemplates whatever this weird black angel was saying to him, Dark Pit takes his opponent's ignorance of the fourth wall and gains an advantage, striking the nobody with some Faridi claws that he got from an undisclosed source. Comboing into the air, each slash sends Roxas flying, and while he's at the apex of his eventual descent, Dark Pit shoots him with the claw's weaker ranged attack. Ultimately, he doesn't do too much damage, but Roxas looks really annoyed right now.
Need to switch gears. Whoa!
Roxas then comes out of the fall in a backflip, landing squarely on the ground.
Okay, that's enough. Time to stop playing around.
Oh, is the blonde baby finally gonna get serious? About time.
In a state of anger and hate, Roxas relinquishes control of the Kingdom Key, and instead, he places both of his hands at his waist and pulls out two Keyblades, the Oathkeeper and the Oblivion. Roxas has stopped playing around and looks dead serious as his blue eyes meet Dark Pit's red.
2?
I'm tired of this fight. I'm tired of fighting for my right to exist. But if I have to do it, I have to. I won't let anyone stop me from being with my friends!
Dark Pit is put back by the change in Roxas' demeanor, but does his best to cover up his surprise by mocking the nobody further.
You're serious? Your friends? Please. As if.
Roxas then glides straight to Dark Pit's place he was floating at, and starts to wail on him with the dual-wielded Keyblades. Even the Guardian Orbitars eventually begin to falter, and make way for Roxas' strikes to ring true. A string of hits collide into the angel, once again ending in a pillar of light cascading out of the tips of both Keyblades and flowing onward into the red sunset.
Well, isn't this fun? I've got nothing to defend myself with, my power flight's about to run out, and Faridi hasn't given me a new weapon in a while.
That's enough.
Dark Pit scrambles to fly away just to gain some distance, but Roxas still pursues him. They chase each other all through the town, but Dark Pit's real prize was a weapon he dropped at the beginning, his staff. Once at the plaza after circling the market, he dodge rolls into the staff, once again wielding it against Roxas.
As if that worked so well the first time.
Hey, sometimes you need a good sequel. You should know all about that.
You are the weirdest person that has come to fight me. And that's saying something.
I'll take that as a compliment. Now, where were we?
Follow me.
Roxas then flies directly upwards, landing on what appears to be hexagonal patterns of land magically permeated to the sky. Dark Pit follows, but does not pursue the fight, instead regaining the conversational blocking they had previously.
I can tell, you know, that you don't want to fight me. Not really, anyway. I was like that once, forced to act against my own will because somebody more powerful was willing to control you. So why? Why fight at all? We're not enemies. At least, we don't have to be.
Wow, you got that all from our fight? It hasn't even been 3 minutes yet.
I know it when I see it, and I see it in you.
Fine, the truth then. I serve the goddess Faridi for our mutual benefit. She gives me powers and weapons, I get to use them as I please. I'm not being controlled. I'm a free agent. I just went with who needed me the most.
He may be a lost cause, but I have to try. It's what Sora would do.
Roxas then begins to float upwards, raising both Oathkeeper and Oblivion against each other, perfectly in sync, parallel, and poised to cast magic. And cast magic he does, as 10 pillars of light surround him, as well as a pool of light forming beneath him. Light bubbles begin to pour out from the tips of the Oathkeeper and Oblivion, aiming at Dark Pit. And speaking of, the entire time Roxas is casting that massive spell, Dark Pit is charging a massive beam from his staff, aiming to end the fight right then and there. And either way, this is where the fight for both of them ends. In a flash of brilliant white light, Dark Pit is standing on his knees, clearly the loser of this bout. As he begins to recuperate, the power of flight goes out, and he begins careening back towards the ground. Roxas then glides down right before he would hit the ground, and pulls him up by his wing. Roxas then sets him down, gently.
Thanks.
So, willing to reconsider?
A ring of green light begins to encircle Dark Pit, as he begins to be teleported back to Viridi's fortress, leaving Roxas behind.
I'll consider it as a parting gift.
Just don't come back to this town. Or else.
Yeah, whatever.
Roxas then begins to float back down to the plaza, still holding the giant crater from before. As he looks on at the damage done, including marks on his own body, he casts another quick healing spell and begins to trek back up the clock tower while thinking to himself.
I know I should have just ended him. But he was like me. Back then. I could sense it. I don't want anybody else to go through what I had to. Even if they also want to kill me. Well, maybe some sea salt ice cream will help me.
Roxas then takes a popsicle of the ice cream out from behind his back and begins to eat.
Still, I'm glad. Glad I get to exist. And eat ice cream. And watch the sunset. Maybe one day, when that angel is away from whoever he said his boss was, he can join us up here. Maybe. One day. I hope. If I could manage, I'm sure he could too.
Roxas then watches as the sun sets below the horizon, and as that star fades, so too does the tale of how Roxas came to know the angel named Dark Pit. And if they will see each other again, only time will tell. But perhaps the words that Roxas left the angel with will fester into something more. For now, the boy was content to simply live his life, which for him was a luxury he was all too happy to be able to afford. In a flash of purple light, Roxas is collapsed on his knees, clearly taken out by the blast from Dark Pit's staff. As he begins to attempt to get back up, Roxas then looks up to only see the barrel of Dark Pit's staff.
Sorry for all this.
You don't have to do this. I promise. There is another way.
No, there isn't. I tried. I failed. This is the path for me.
What if we work together?
No, please. Not this cliche. We could work together.
You rely on them for flight, right?
Dark Pit then begins to, quite comedically, fall with just the right timing as the power of flight had worn off. Roxas then picks him up in the nick of time and sets him down in the crater he caused.
I'm pretty sure I could help you out. I could try to give you your own flight.
Oh, I miss having that. I would like having that back.
As for weapons, that staff you have there is pretty handy. As well as all the stuff you dropped in our fight.
Alright. Hard sell it, jeez. I'm in.
A voice in Dark Pit's head begins to bombast him with, quite frankly, very crude language for someone of her stature.
You know, she has a whole army. It's not gonna be easy. And plus, I came after you. Don't really know why you'd help me.
Let's just say it runs in the family.
Well, let's take down a goddess, I guess. Let's get going before I regret this decision, which I already kinda am.
Both Roxas and Dark Pit fly off, as the former opens a portal to the fortress of the forces of nature, only to be greeted by an onslaught of monsters. But hey, with a true ally at his side, one that, quite honestly, reminded him a little too much of his noble counterpart, Dark Pit was ready for any challenge that came his way. Even fighting a blonde child. Hey, some things don't change, do they? Not, at least, for Dark Pit, the dark-winged doppelganger. This fight sure was something, huh? I can't wait to boot up my 3DS, which is surprisingly easy to hack, to play Kid Icarus Uprising completely legally. Okay, now that the feds are gone, let's talk about the fight. So, I wanted Dark Pit to have a fair amount of weapons he used, and I don't know, I think he used a fair amount. Like I said, he has access to 100,000 weapons, so showcasing that variety was imperative. As for Roxas, Well, it was really just him being able to cast magic outside of his Keyblade and him dual wielding I wanted to show off. And I did! God, I'm so good at my job. Other than that, I thought it'd be neat to have Roxas correlate his experiences with the crappy boss to Dark Pit's time underneath Veridity. Which, like, he's gonna break that treaty the first chance he gets. He just really likes flying. And Roxas wanting to be like the person who saved him after KH3 makes sense to me, at least. Well, anyway, what did you think of the episode? Did you like it? Hate it? Should the clone cleansing protocol go through? Let me know in the comments below and I'll leave you with a trailer for the next episode. Bye!